Hi, everyone. It's Brian here. We're going to talk today about Salesforce and HubSpot and compare them across many different areas. Now, first, let's look at the market share. Salesforce here is clearly the winner. They have 20-some% market share. They have for many years. HubSpot is about half that, maybe a little less. And then you have Zoho and CRM Dynamics and a whole host of other ones that are in this space as well. But in terms of the comparables with regard to the products themselves, we have 10 different categories. We're going to start with user experience, which is very important. Here, HubSpot is very intuitive. There's not much configuration. It's not unlike, setting up your phone when you get it, your iPhone. Salesforce is, because it's more comprehensive, it requires more setup. So that does mean that if you don't set it up correctly, it might have a little bit of a not so great user experience. So I'm going to give the edge to HubSpot just because it's so simple. Now, let's look at sales automation. Salesforce has been doing this since 1999. They started off as a sales product, so they're pretty good at it, and they've got a lot of functionality. CPQ, forecasting, custom workflows, you name it, they've got it in there. HubSpot does have great sales functionality. It's a little simpler. You don't have to set up as many things. So here, Salesforce definitely is the winner. Now let's flip over to marketing. Now, whereas Salesforce was primarily a sales product, HubSpot initially was primarily a marketing product. So therefore, it's got a lot of great, powerful marketing tools, email marketing, lead scoring, automation, and so on. Salesforce has Marketing Cloud, which has one part of Marketing Cloud is called account engagement, which is used to be Pardot, and it's more B2B focused. It's pretty easy to use. Marketing Cloud broadly is very comprehensive, and it does almost anything you'd possibly need it to do from a marketing standpoint. But it's technically a separate platform than Salesforce Sales Cloud. So there's a little bit of multiple systems you might have to kind of navigate through there. So bottom line is this is HubSpot's category, marketing. Now, customer service. Back in 2009, Salesforce released Service Cloud to complement their existing Sales Cloud for managing customers and providing them functionality. And they have a significant investment here. Things like SLA management, omni-channel support, knowledge-based management, and the list goes on and on. HubSpot's Service Hub has been more recently been implemented that has ticketing, live chat, knowledge base, surveys. It's solid, but not as deep as what exists in Salesforce. So this is a Salesforce category for customer service. Now let's look at the platform development tools. Salesforce, many would say, hey, they started SaaS, which they did. They also were a large contribution to platform as a service, which is the cousin of SaaS, PaaS. This is where you can use platforms to build things. And that means you can have access to tools like Flow and Apex and all these great capabilities. You can run an entire business on Salesforce if you wanted to. HubSpot, from a development standpoint, is lighter. It's more limited in terms of what you can do. So here, again, this is a Salesforce category, definitely, development tools. Now let's talk about staffing requirements. Now, in this case, think about it. HubSpot is simpler to use, not as much configuration, so you don't have as much technical oversight. You don't really need a full-time HubSpot administrator, for example. Salesforce, on the other hand, if depending on how you've implemented it, you might definitely need people there to manage it, to have oversight, to manage governance. Maybe you're doing it internally. Maybe you outsource that to a third party. But there is going to be some degree of requirements around staffing for Salesforce just because it's so comprehensive. Now, so if you're looking at this from a comparison perspective and their staffing requirements are greater for Salesforce, therefore, HubSpot is the category winner here, just because it doesn't require that much. Now let's look at AI. So 2016, Salesforce introduced Einstein AI. It has things like predictive scoring and recommendations and automated insights. And then last year, Agentforce, which builds on that architecture and adds agents and bots. So this is a huge capital investment for Salesforce, the AI space. HubSpot does have AI capabilities, account summaries, and other types of scoring, lead scoring as well. So they're in the space, but not to the degree of Salesforce. So this is a Salesforce category here. Analytics. Salesforce has acquired companies, acquired products over the years like Tableau. And as a result, they have pretty extensive capability around analytics. They've also have Data Cloud, which augments the data in the CRM with other data points. Also, with the integration capabilities of Salesforce, which is part of their development tool, you can also bring in other data from your ERP, right? So all that being said, now HubSpot does have reporting and dashboards, and it's really nice and easy, typically focused around sales and marketing. And there's some limitations, like you can't do multi-object reporting. So this is a Salesforce winning category here, analytics. Now let's talk about price. Specifically here, we're talking about licensing. Now HubSpot has a free version, that you can use. Now it's pretty limited, of course. And as you navigate up that ladder, there are certainly costs you're going to incur from a pricing standpoint. Salesforce, does have a larger price point for its enterprise version, just frankly because you're buying a lot more. You're buying an entire development platform with Salesforce, as opposed to HubSpot, where you're just kind of buying a suite of products. So again, I would say the free version of HubSpot and the more flexible, I guess, lower tier pricing gives the edge here to HubSpot from a price standpoint. Although I will say this, if you're using HubSpot and you're an enterprise, customer, and you add more complexity, and as you go up that ladder, you're going to be paying the same as Salesforce, FYI. So, okay. So then we're going to go to number 10, the last one, overall ROI. Okay. Well, this is not as simple as just yes or no, one or the other, but because it kind of depends. So if you're a small company, few people in your sales team, maybe you're really marketing focused, well, HubSpot probably makes sense, right? I mean, it's a marketing first organized company. The pricing model can probably, accommodate what you want. But once you start getting any level of complexity, any kind of requirements around augmentation of data, AI, those sort of things, which you typically see in more complex environments, that's where Salesforce definitely provides that more of a return on your investment from a pricing standpoint, because what you're buying there is so broad in terms of what you can do with it. So it really comes down to, what are you going to use it for? Are you going to use your CRM for just basic Bob, pipeline management and marketing? Okay, well, that might be a HubSpot solution versus Salesforce. So if you look at all of that considered from an ROI standpoint, the return on your investment in terms of staff and price, certainly Salesforce has the edge, I believe, just because you can get so much out of it. And it really depends on what you want to get out of it. So that's a big question to ask. Okay, so hopefully you learned something, and I wanted you to just like and subscribe, certainly if you can, and we'll talk next time.